Good morning, and welcome to another edition of From the Desk of Dan White. It's been an interesting week last week. We got a lot of economic data. I guess the first thing was the GDP report came out, and it was pretty robust. It was 3%, which is much higher. We were actually negative, I believe, in the first quarter. So to have 3% growth, that was a good thing, although it does not bode well for interest rate cuts by the Fed. The Fed's looking at it like, hey, the economy's fine. There's no reason to cut interest rates. But then on the flip side, we had a jobs report came out. Not only did the jobs report really disappoint, but they had some revisions to the previous numbers. They lost quite a few jobs. It was a big revision. So that says, hey, the job market is cratering and we need to cut interest rates. So we're getting very mixed signals about the economy. And then on top of that, Trump fired the Bureau of Labor Statistics Commissioner Erica McIntyre for the jobs report. And his reasoning was as Trumpian as it gets. The Bureau of Labor Statistics' unusually strong downward revisions on June and July jobs suggested at best a flawed approach to reporting deserving of a termination, and at worst, a political conspiracy to tarnish the economic report card of the Trump administration. At first glance, these revisions do seem quite extreme. We haven't seen a downward revision so strong since early 2019, and no back-to-back revisions of this magnitude in the last 10 years. In all likelihood, the BLS's approach to job reporting needs an overhaul, and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent agreed as much. And it's not out of the realm of possibility that the economists have political biases that may influence their methods. But the firing, along with the tariffs, the executive orders, and the endless other moves that President Trump had made, they're really quite calculated. The real read on this is simple. Trump understands the job market is in relatively good shape, although it has been weakening. And he also understands that inflation is back on the rise and could go higher once the true tariff costs really sink in. The problem is he also really wants lower interest rates to help the economy and then to service the debt that the country is in. He knows the Fed won't cut unless it sees inflation continue to fall, which isn't happening, or the labor market falls apart. Well, worse, inflation is rising as the job market softens, effectively nullifying the chance of a cut. Because of this, he needed to find some other method of pressure. He knows and he understands that 99% of the people out there don't even care or even know about these revisions to the payroll data. But ultimately, what he does know is people care about drama. What's the best way to get everybody talking about jobs? Fire the Bureau of Labor Statistics chief. And this is his tactic. Make a big apprentice-style you're fired show, and suddenly everybody's staring at the big downward job revisions and talking about how the labor market is in dire straits. This puts more pressure on the Fed and adds more support to the president. The problem with this is that I fear few people understand, including the president, is the more pressure, political pressure hits the Fed, the less likely we are to see interest rate cuts in the near future. The Fed has been kind of proud to appear independent of external pressures, and if it cuts, even with good data cause, all this pressure will make it seem like the decision came at the request of the president. So it's why I think even after these revisions, we could see 2025 end with rates kind of exactly where they are now. As the pressure ramps up, the chances of a rate cut drops, and as inflation heads higher, as tariffs inevitably work their way into our prices, the chances drop. So again, we're in the same catch-22. Inflation's going up, GDP is strong. That says no rate cuts, but then the job market is starting to deteriorate. So. And as we say all that, we're at an all-time market high. The other thing that is a little alarming that I came across recently was the S&P 500 is really dangerously top-heavy. 7 stocks now account for more than 30% of the entire index. 7 stocks. And that might have been fine if the growth story still looked bulletproof, but we're starting to see some cracks. Margins are tightening, expectations are sky high, and the Magnificent Seven stocks are starting to have very differing fortunes. It doesn't mean you can't make money in the market, but it might mean the Magnificent Seven, they might have hit their high, and we might have to look elsewhere for returns in the market. So that's kind of our market update. We're going to start a new segment in our video this month, and it's kind of the Dan White mailbag. We get questions all the time, and I'm just going to recap maybe one of the most common questions we get all the time. Probably the biggest one when people come in here is, do I have enough money to retire? How much will I actually need? Will I outlive my savings? Am I on track compared to others? It's kind of funny. I get that question a lot. How do I look? How do I look in regards to everybody else? And I say it really depends on the lifestyle that you want to live. And fortunately, as you're well aware, we have a program in our office called the Retirement Navigator. And it'll tell you whether or not you're going to run out of money in retirement. We can play around with it. We can change some of the assumptions, the growth rate, the inflation rate. And it tells you, if and when you're going to run out of money, and if so, when that'll happen. So if you're concerned about that, we can always revisit that. We can always look at your particular situation and update it. But, we have a tool in here to tell you whether or not you do have enough money to retire. All right, upcoming events. We have Dan White & Associates Night at the Blue Rocks. This will be emailed out on Blue Rocks Day. We look forward to seeing everyone that day. We have a lot of people coming. And one thing I would mention, look for our blue tent out front to check in with our staff and to bring the QR code that was included in your email confirmation. But one thing I do want to mention, we have over 600 people that have signed up. And the tickets are about $50 a piece. So if you sign up for 4 and you're not going to have 4, let us know, please, because we are paying money for the tickets. We also have our September referral event coming up Tuesday, September the 23rd. We are hosting our fall referral event in a suite at the Phillies game in a box. As a reminder, in order to qualify for this event, you must refer a friend, a family member, a colleague, etc., to attend one of our upcoming dinner seminars or to come in for a complimentary consultation with one of our advisors. And as a reminder, they have to be age appropriate. We deal with people that are 50 and older. So, referring your 24-year-old son or daughter, that doesn't really qualify. Seating is going to be limited. And if you have any questions, please reach out to our events coordinator, Chris, if you've got questions about the referral event. And as a little teaser, we started our enrichment series, and in October, we're having the second one of these enrichment series. And this event is going to be an informational session about how to avoid scammers and fraud. Just in the past, I'd say 60 days, I ran into 2 people that lost almost their entire life savings to a scam or a fraud. So we're having an expert coming into our Glenmill office to give a presentation about how you can be alert and vigilant about avoiding these scams and fraud. So more information will be coming forward on that. We also want to thank those people who have given us Google reviews. We have Google for Middletown, Glen Mills, and Lewis. We have 3 separate Google reviews. So if you've had a favorable experience with us and you want to reach out, if you have a Gmail account, we certainly do appreciate all the people who have done it. And if you haven't done it, maybe take a minute and give us a Google review. And then finally, summer is coming to a close. It's hard to believe it just got here, and now we're talking about Labor Day. But Labor Day is coming up, so as a reminder, our offices will be closed on Monday, September the 1st, in observance of the holiday, so make a note of that. And I want to wish everybody, a happy Labor Day weekend. Summer, it was this past week was really great weather. It's been a very unusual summer, but hopefully you've been safe and enjoyed the summer and had some holiday plans and all that kind of thing. And if you have any questions, by all means, give the office a call. We'll talk to you next month. Have a great, great week.